Hello everybody, and welcome to Theology 101. Today I will be answering a subscriber's question. Jacob Solis asked this question: can you make a video on the Bible's explanation of marriage? Specifically, the two shall become one? Thank you for asking this question. Let's dig deeper into the topic of marriage. The phrase, two shall become one flesh, comes from Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 to 24. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man he made into a woman, and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Let me answer a few questions. What does it mean that Eve came from Adam's rib? This is not a description of some clinical operation. Instead, this action by God has significant meaning. Just as the rib is found at the side of the man and is attached to him, Eve is at the side of Adam and her soul is attached to his. This reveals the complementary role Eve has with Adam. She is not only labeled as Adam's helper, but also is made of the same material as Adam himself. So in order to explain the significance of the complementary role Eve has with Adam, Moses makes this note: "Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Now, this comment is setting forth a principle not just for Adam and Eve, but for all subsequent marriages from this point forward. Why do I say that? Jesus quotes this verse in Mark chapter 10, verses 6 through 9, when talking about divorce to show that marriages were never intended to be dissolved. From its very design, God created marriage to be a union between man and woman based on the one flesh concept. So this leads to the next question. What does it mean to leave one's father and mother? Interestingly, Israelite marriages were typically patrilocal, which meant that the sons would continue to live near or even in the same living complex as his parents after marriage. This is best illustrated by Jacob's family, whose sons remained under their father's influence despite the founding of their own families and wealth. So for Israel, sons were not expected to leave their parents, but the wife was expected to leave her family to join her husband's family. In fact, the Mosaic law assumed a woman remained with her husband's family even after his death. Therefore, when Moses says that a man shall leave his father and mother, he is not speaking about literally moving to a different city. Instead, Moses is talking about the issue of priority. You see, the word leave is better translated as forsake. This same word is used to forbid Israel from forsaking the poor, or describing that God will never forsake Israel. These examples show that forsaking one's father and mother is regarding one's relationship priority and not regarding location. Marriage, therefore, means that the man must forsake his parents because of his new priority, namely his wife. Before marriage, a man's obligations were for his parents, as evidenced with God's command to honor one's father and mother. In fact, honoring one's parents for Israel was considered the highest human obligation next to honoring God. So for Moses to write that God wants a man to forsake his parents because of his wife is very shocking to the original readers. But notice that the man does not just leave, but he leaves for a new purpose, to hold fast. This verb is used to describe Ruth's desire to cling onto Naomi even when she was told to leave. So the purpose for the shocking statement regarding a man to forsake his parents is to hang on to or to cleave to his wife. Now this leads to the final question. What does it mean to be one flesh? You see, when the man cleaves to his wife, they become one flesh according to the text. The phrase one flesh recalls the language of Genesis 2:23, where Eve comes from the flesh of Adam. On one level, this refers to a physical union. Husbands and wives become one flesh through sexual intimacy. In fact, this concept relates with God's command to Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply. To multiply implies sexual union. A child is a completely new individual created through the physical oneness of his or her parents. Therefore, God protects this one flesh concept by commanding couples to honor their marriages by remaining faithful to one another. But the one flesh concept is not just referring to a physical union alone. The Hebrew word for flesh refers to more than a person's physical body, but to the entire human existence. The biblical view of one flesh communicates a unity that covers every facet of a couple's joint lives as husband and wife. In marriage, two whole lives unite as one. Thus, the Bible teaches that all instances of divorce were because of sin, and that God's purpose for marriage was to create an inseparable and exclusive union. In marriage, two whole lives unite as one emotionally, intellectually, financially, spiritually, and in every other way. So the concept of two becoming one flesh is as if this couple functions as one person, complementing one another and balancing each other's strengths and weaknesses. This explains why throughout the Bible, marriage is viewed as a covenant relationship between a man and a woman. Marriage becomes a metaphor for God's relationship with Israel, as well as a picture of the union between Christ and the church. So the one flesh concept is not referring just to a sexual union, although that is part of it. Instead, it affirms that just as a person is united to one's parents by blood, marriage creates a greater relationship between a man and a woman. They become related through a covenant. Jacob, I hope this video is helpful regarding your question about the meaning of two becoming one flesh. Hopefully this video will help you address any misconceptions regarding marriage you may encounter. Thank you to today's sponsor, Awe and Reverence. They offer a free digital worship music app called Maskill. If you want to find out more, I'll leave some links below in the description box. Finally, if you want your question answered with a video, leave a comment below and I will do my best to get to it. Until next time, see you.